Hello, you beautiful legends. Yeah, a little bit of laundry there. Welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast. This is episode number 705, and this is a second part, the Ernesto Day 2. So, the storm Ernesto, as I mentioned in the previous episode, and if you didn't watch or didn't read the blog post, you can go back to the day before and then sync up on the update. It's the second day that Storm Ernesto is brushing against Ireland and specifically west coast of Ireland. And it hit us on Wednesday/Thursday. Wednesday was quite windy and stormy. And I mentioned about that in the previous episode. But on Thursday, it was slightly calmer while still quite windy in the morning. It was a bit of sun early morning. I had to wake up about 7:30 a.m. because I had a handover meeting in the company at 9:30, so I needed to still prepare some documentation to make sure that most of the things are covered. It's very hard to prepare a handover in such a short period of time when you worked for the company for over 10 years, so over a decade. And I went across multiple roles, still carrying a lot of legacy knowledge and projects along the way. So there's no way to actually do the proper handover. It's only very high level main areas and themes and projects, and the rest is up to the company to deal with and assign the resources. But still, it required work, so I spent that on quite a chunk of time on Wednesday and on Thursday to make sure that I have it ready. We went through that meeting, and then I had a couple of calls with different people to make them aware that I'm leaving, because there's still a lot of people that know me for quite a while and they don't know that I'll be gone next week. The morning also, we checked Julian's foot, and specifically his left foot pinky toe, and he said he improved a little bit, but he kind of renewed the kind of stepped wrongly on that, and it renewed the pain yesterday when he was on the walk with Elizabeth and went up one of the dunes on the kind of loose sand. So this morning it was still a bit painful, slightly improved again, but definitely not enough to go for the summer soccer camp. So it was a third day out of 4 that he missed, and he is likely not going tomorrow for the last day, except for just the ending last couple of minutes to say bye to the people, collect the complimentary soccer ball as a souvenir after the soccer camp. Fortunately, he was able to complete the full first camp in July, so this was the second one in August. Unfortunate to stub his toe and not participate in most of it except for Monday, but it's life. So yeah, so most of the day was spent on, just prepping some stuff, as I said, at work, and then helping a little bit my wife with some, strength training, and then we prepared the sauna for deployment. In the evening, we had again the booking, and it was a private booking for the full sauna for full hour for 6 people. So it was a significant booking, but I kind of approached it very carefully because it was one of those bookings that were not prepaid. So if it didn't happen and I didn't complete it I wasn't counting it until it happened. So we drove to Rosnala. It was a bit calmer, but still very high tide approaching the shore. A bit of waves, but not as raging as on Wednesday. And definitely much lower winds than there were. So it was visible that Ernesto, the storm, was already kind of past us, leaving a little bit of wind behind and some of the swell. The booking went well. It was an amazing group of ladies. They thoroughly enjoyed the experience. They were going in and out of the ocean, so it was very cool. And they said they would definitely will be back. So very happy with the outcome. And afterwards, it went a bit quiet. Julian and Elizabeth went for a short walk, and then, as it was coming closer to sunset, our friend arrived with his kids and some other family kids that visited him, and they again went to warm up in the sauna after a swim in the ocean. So it was a great bunch of people that are always, positive and making that business a bit easier to run when you see them and when you host them in the sauna, which is great. So it was definitely a better day than Wednesday. And as we were wrapping up, Julian kind of closed everything. He's kind of getting better and better in kind of the procedure of going around the sauna, doing some stuff like getting rid of the water from the bucket, and then from the whatever we have, the like foot wash area, and then closing the trailer, closing the sauna, closing the feeder for the stove. So a lot of the procedural things to make when you open and close the sauna. I did the second run to make sure that everything is done properly, and I was super happy that he did it professionally. And just as we were about to wrap up, one person came up asking if we are closing in or if we can stay for half an hour. And I asked my wife, and Julian wasn't super happy because he wanted to go and play some games at home, but we agreed to stay. And that person was very thankful to be able to warm up, because it was already raining and windy and it was getting dark. So we were the only people there. So it's also kind of, I don't know, some sort of safety feeling or factor that you're not just alone swimming there, but there are people around. So we stayed there until they finished and then wrapped up and came back home. But in between those bookings, there's one thing that happened. I was researching for a drone because we want to buy a drone, not only to take it on our different trips or hikes, but also to use it professionally to create some decent footage for sauna and other businesses. So maybe kind of expand on existing business with the sauna and provide some services with some footage shooting and maybe post-production a little bit if I'll be able to. But I was interested in legislations around it because I knew that in different countries they start regulating drones, and it turns out that the European Union is now enforcing a standard for that. There are two regulations, aviation regulations specifically for unmanned aircraft systems and operators. It's EU 2019 945 and 947, I believe. These are the standards. And I went through kind of, the gist of it. And it turns out that not only you need to complete the training, regardless if you're just a tourist and casual user of the drone or professional, every drone in the European Union regardless from which country you come from, or if you're within the EU or outside the EU, you need to align and comply with these regulations. So the training is required, and in many cases you need to be, well, not certified specifically in the meaning of that word, but you need to pass the exam in certain cases. And if you go into more professional space, then obviously you need to be certified. So I bought a fairly cheap course to get through the most basic license, and get training around A1 and A3 open kind of certification, or open operations. And once I go through that, I need to register the drone once I buy it and pass the exam. It's about €40 extra, and it's valid for 2 years, I think, at least. So yeah, that might be actually my pursuit of a new career, or branching out, because I like the drones concept, and I like the FPV drones, which are first person view. Basically, you're using kind of like a VR glasses or the camera glasses, where you see the video feed from the drone. They are very sensitive and very precise drones. So they are not the usual drones that you would see that people use, where they are tracking them very slowly and, just operate them to get nice landscapes and views. This is one of those FPV drones. So they are very fast and agile. And this is exactly what I want. A very dynamic footage and ability to fly in tight spaces. So yeah, you might see a nice footage once we get it. We think we know which drone we want for start. It's DJI Avatar 2, which is one of the new models, but I find it has most of the things that I want in a drone. For starters, to train a bit and get better at operating a drone. So yeah, this will be the new venture. So that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Have a great rest of the day, afternoon, or evening, and see you again tomorrow.